Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. We've got Sue, Corey, and myself here today. We've got a fun one.
I know.
Yeah.
These are some of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
It's
We've got
questions, everyone.
We've got the listener
yeah.
questions. So these are all the questions that you guys want to know from us, and we kind of compile them all. If they're not big enough to do a whole episode on, we compile them all so that we can answer them all in one podcast. So this is what your inquiring minds want to know today.
Also, with these questions, a lot of people will like say something super nice to us in the beginning, and a lot of the time I just like kind of take that part out because it feels like special to us. It's like, hey, we're gonna keep that for ourselves. Just give the question in the episode. So I just wanted to thank everyone because I was like reading them yesterday as I was going through and was like, everyone is so nice.
Yeah.
What we're doing is working.
Yeah,
Cheers.
for real. People like us.
Good.
Gosh darn it.
We don't suck.
We'll keep doing it then. We're doing it for the people. So if you guys are liking it, we're going to keep doing it.
Yep.
That's great. But first, you guys tell me what you guys are doing lately to like achieve a balance in life. I know everybody at this table is super busy, and you still come in and you feel energized and bright and like you're loving life and that you've somehow achieved a balance. So I want to know, besides work, what are you doing, or like what's filling you up?
I will say the things that fill me up, like, first of all, I try and be present. When I'm at work, I try and be present here. When I'm at home, I try and be present with my kids.
That's really good advice.
It's really good advice. And
Yeah.
I think I'm better here when I'm better there. And, you know, like they really do kind of teeter off of each other. Another thing that I try and do just recently, I feel like we've been traveling a lot for like some really great jobs. We have a job in Rolling Hills and like Southern California, where like I'm originally from. And so I was there like 2 weeks ago. And then last week we were in Boston for another really incredible job, like right off Beacon Hill. And so like these like dream jobs, and like we are just like running at like a sprinter's pace and just trying to like meet all the building team and figure out problems. I'm sketching my brains out, right?
Are they building?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, they're built like they.
New build.
One is a new build.
Actually, they're both
The
remodels.
Beacon
Oh,
Hill is
okay.
a remodel. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, they're both remodels. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but like just incredible estates and awesome people. Like, I feel so lucky. But I'm in these amazing places too, and like I have to get back home to my family and take care of these kids. But I'm like, what can I do? Sometimes it's just like, as much as like, I'm like, if I can get like chips and salsa somewhere, I'm like, I feel like I went on a vacation, like without being interrupted. But a couple of things that I did in California, because like it's in Palos Verdes, which is south of LA. Me and the other designer, we took the one and we just like drove down PCH. I got off on Manhattan Beach, walked down the pier, and it was brief, but it like filled my cup. So I'm like, even though like I'm working, like if you can like when I can find time to just like do those like little things, to just like stop, breathe, look around me, and realize how great this is and how beautiful the world is. That was awesome. And then when we were in Boston, people have told me about the Isabella Gardner Museum in downtown Boston, and I'm like, I did not know when I was going to get to it because we were just again going. And I was by myself. I didn't have my kids. We ended at 3:30 and the museum closed at 5. So I Ubered the hell out of that place. And I went over there and I had an hour in the museum. And if anyone's ever been there, they realize how can you do that museum in an hour? And I tell you what, like that is what my soul needed. It was so beautiful. As an art collector, like to see what she did, just like when she did it, like, and kind of the trail that she blazed, like kind of early feminist for sure. And just like being just a powerhouse and just like I think it's also because she created space and kind of recreated this Venice palazzo in the middle of Boston and filled it and like really made beautiful spaces. And the way she paired art with it was just like remarkable. I poloed you like really briefly, and I'm like, Jessica Bennett, like
So beautiful.
it was so beautiful in the courtyard. And the whole,
Such
like, I was listening
vision.
to the podcast that another designer sent me on the heist in 1990 where 13 pieces were stolen. And so I was just, like, completely enveloped for, like, a few hours of my life were just, like, dedicated to this thing that had nothing to do with anything else. It was really, it filled my cup.
What's the podcast in case our listeners want to hear
Last
it?
Scene. called Last Scene. There's also a Netflix documentary on the heist of the Isabella Gardner Museum in Boston. It was like 1990. 13 pieces were taken like on Nolan's birthday, actually. Anyway, the day after St. Patrick's Day. You know, when just the city is a riot. You know, it's bigger than New Year's, and they just did a little heist. So anyway, but overall, like as far as achieving balance, like amid work, just trying and like slice out in your trajectory path, figure out what is the detour that you can take that'll like fill you up before you get to your next destination.
Yeah. If I'm not on the freeway, I will always open my sunroof and drive around with it open, because just something about the wind in my hair and the sun on me feels so great, and it instantly gives me this feeling of like carefree. Yeah. You know, it's a little tiny thing that I can do, but I'm always like, I have to have a car with a sunroof. Yeah. It just makes me feel like I'm alive instead of such a caged animal, you know? As a creative person, I feel like we need to be able to wander and how important that is. And that gives me that feeling of wander, like get a big drink, play my music too loud, have my sunroof open. I feel like I'm young and
Chips and salsa.
It's great. Chips and salsa for those of you. What do you do, Corey?
One thing I realized about myself is as much as I love working, I honestly do.
You're going to say like, as much as I love working, I
honestly hate
don't.
it. No.
It's actually
I like having something to look forward to. So like either like a small trip or...
That's the Leo in us.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Leos need something to look forward to, anticipate. And almost doing the thing isn't as much fun as the anticipation of it. Like
that is so true.
They'll be in the thing and they'll be trying to think of the next thing they want to anticipate without being fully present in the thing that they're doing. I read that about us. Corey and I are both Leos. And so I was like, I need something on my calendar. I got to anticipate something because it just like brings me so much joy.
Yeah. So
fun.
That's just been, and I've been trying to just do like little small things. Not this weekend, next weekend, I'm meeting my dad in Phoenix, and we're going to a football game.
Oh,
that'll be fun.
Dallas, amazing.
Cowboys coming?
Playing the Arizona Cardinals, so that'll be fun. Oh. Phoenix is only going to be 98, so it's
only 98. Oh my gosh!
Okay.
In September.
I just like having like little things to look forward to, and I'm just like, okay, I do these things that I have to do, then I get to do this type of thing. So it's like a little reward, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like if you're going through something hard, like planning something really good to look forward to,
joyful,
that you're like, I need something to look forward to, and that helps pull you out of the pool, if it were.
Gives you a little hope.
Yeah
Exactly.
It's really good. Awesome.
Good chat.
Let's get into it.
Okay,
so Corey, you're going to ask the questions and Sue and I are going to answer them?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that.
That's the format. All right.
Okay, this is from Grace Watchler. She says, hi, I love your podcast. I really enjoy the episodes where you answer questions from listeners. That's this episode, so you're going to love it.
There you go, Grace. For you.
Not sure if this is where we ask them, but here it goes. How do you break into interior design without an interior design degree? I have a business degree and I graduate soon, but I realized I want to go into interior design. Do I need to start my own business to break into the industry?
That's a fantastic question, Grace.
Jessica, take it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I did. I did have this burning desire to do this. I was doing design work for other people and interiors, and I was starting to see this need in the marketplace here in Utah to be able to have a bigger breadth and depth of things that were missing from the marketplace, and for this style that I really loved, which at the time was transitional. We just really had a lot of European Tuscan presence, and we just didn't have very many clean lines. And I was trying to do corporate work for a software company, which is contemporary, and then working on homes as well, which you want to be a little bit warmer, which transitional is a really nice, clean way to get that done. So I started my own business, but I was doing design work for probably I'd say at least 5 years before I was like, we need to do this and take the plunge. Also, my husband had worked in the furniture industry before, and we both really, really loved it. He loved a lot about how it's made, and he likes to take things apart. You've seen him kick the tires on it, undo the cushions, take the zippers out,
cut stuff open.
He gets real physical with stuff, and he's really curious about how it's made, and we both really believe in a quality product. And it's a huge business to go into by yourself. I'm so grateful that he and I both, for some strange reason, thought that this was a good idea. But it's been fascinating to us ever since. Like, we could go to market and he could go one way and I could go the other, and we'd both be fully satisfied. And he's going somewhere where he can pick stuff apart and understand it and turn it over and understand if it's sinuous coil or 8-way hand tied and why and what's better and how's it sit and what's the pitch. And I'm looking at the aesthetics of it, with Suzanne. And anyway, there's a lot there to digest, but certainly you can, Grace. You could certainly start an interior design business. It definitely takes a lot of non-designer type people to make the business go and to make really good sound decisions, because it is such a creative, passionate, gut feeling kind of place. So it's awesome if you're right-brained and left-brained. There's a place for everybody, honestly, in interior design. We need a lot of non-creatives surrounding us, or if you're creative, you'll appreciate the non-creatives. So I definitely think that's a route. I think it wouldn't even be a bad idea to work within an interior design business just to see how it goes. None of us really compare notes. All the other furniture companies in town, we don't get together for an assembly where we go over each other's notes and best practices and ways to do things. I guess you could go to market and you could probably learn that way, but I think most of it's kind of school of hard knocks. And so if you have worked at a store or two and you see how things go and what's broken about it and what you could do to provide a better service. We were just talking yesterday about a family member of yours who really disliked his ability to purchase hardware in Utah. And so he's like, so I'm going to form my own and I'm going to find a better way to do it and give the service that I wish existed. And that's a niche that the market needs. So I would say if you can, work within the interior design industry, but certainly starting your own with maybe, somebody that shares your vision is a great idea too.
Yeah, I was about to say, even becoming like a project manager in an interior design firm, if you have a business background and you're just good at just those logistics, but you're interested in the creative part of it, then just surround yourself with it and just make sure that you know what you're signing up for. That's what I would say.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck, Grace.
Awesome. The next question asks, it's from Aubrey Whiting. She asks, how do you design for your home when your interior style is not necessarily the same as the exterior style of your home? For example, you have a Spanish style home, but you really love English cottage style, or you have a ranch style home, but you love modern Parisian interiors.
This is a really good question. And I think one that a lot of people kind of wrestle with, knowing how to do it, right?
Totally.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Sue? You inherited, I did a new build. So I built the style I wanted for both the interior and exterior, but you've purchased a home that I would say is
1971, 70s ranch style house, not big. But there were things about it. I think for you, while you're looking at your house, see, what do you like about it? If you're in a Spanish colonial house, but you like English cottage, both of them, I can see right now, have a sense of authenticity. Whether you're Spanish colonial or whether you're English Tudor, they both have this authentic, and I think we see plaster walls in both of those spaces. You might have different moldings, things like that, but I think you juxtapose it, and you celebrate what you have, and then you're adding on top of it. It's kind of like when you add for the idea about the modern house, but you live in a traditional house, you try and pull some of the traditional that you do like, and then you're going to put the contemporary on top of it. So you're going to pull in an antique chest, but then you're going to put your modern art above it or your modern lights, so that you're not completely abandoning the architecture and what the house is. You're acknowledging it, but then you're going to celebrate what you love a little bit more, just so it doesn't have an identity crisis. I think that's the biggest issue is when I walk into a home, I'm like, whoa, this is not the same house as it is on the outside. I think that feels wrong.
Yeah.
So
find the things it has in common common with it, and make that kind of your foundation, and then start to layer in your personal style with it. But at least authentically, it's going to connect inside and out.
Yeah, because I'm even if you're English traditional and you have these really traditional rugs that, have a border and medallions and things like that, but it's a Spanish colonial house, maybe there's some portions of your frames that are hand carved that feel Spanish colonial, or maybe there's some cubism somewhere. I think that there's ways to acknowledge. And so I think it just takes a little bit of research. What parts of Spanish colonial do you like? And then how can we bridge it? What color, what common denominators do you see? and celebrate those while combining them.
Mhm.
Was that?
That's a great
that
answer.
good?
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
Okay.
The next question asks, she says, I have a specific question for Jess. How is your outdoor lighting holding up? I want to put a similar light to your Morris lantern in my entryway outside, but I am slightly worried about durability. Has it held up? Any issues with birds, broken glass? And that was from Mandy Voisin.
Mandy, great question. Thanks for noticing that I pulled a rank. I went ahead and put an interior fixture on my covered porch. I just wasn't excited or happy about anything that I had seen. They were always like big lanterns or something like that. And it just wasn't really floating my boat. So at the end of the day, I thought, well, I do sell lighting. And if this didn't go well, I should probably try it on myself first. And if it doesn't work, I can always get a new light 5 years down the road, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? So I bought myself the Morris lantern, like she said. It's a Suzanne Kassler light from Visual Comfort. And you can get it with clear glass or frosted glass. I did frosted because I knew that bottom panel was going to be covered in bugs. You know how you look up and I was like, I don't clearly want to see the bugs. I just want to know that there's black happening up there and it's dead bugs, right?
It's something, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, we'll get up there and we'll vacuum it once a year. But so I did the frosted version of it. I also did, it's a gilded version, which is, you know, gold. It looks brand new.
Really?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it looks great. It's not rated for damp proof or weatherproof, so I cannot speak to you about whether or not this is okay to do from your fire
liability standpoint.
Who are the fire people that make
fire
us
marshal?
The fire marshal.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't tell you that it's okay to do it, but I will tell you it looks amazing. I do have a covered porch, so it sits up in an eave. It is windy where I live. It's not been a problem. This thing is hung with chains, just the normal chains that come with it from Visual Comfort.
Just a chain. It's not a rod.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, and so it sways,
Yeah.
which is nice with the weather. I think if it was a rod, it probably could have broken by now.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks brand new.
Okay.
Yeah, like the glass has been perfect. I haven't ever replaced a panel. Nothing's broken. The frosted has hidden everything really well, and the gilding on it is stunning today. And I've noticed a little trend in my neighborhood where I've seen more indoor fixtures on covered porches.
You're an influencer.
Theirs look great
Yeah.
too.
Oh, wow.
So I would
Blazing
say
trails.
I would do it again.
As long as it's covered, right?
Yes.
Because you are east
North
facing.
Northeast facing.
The back of my house is west facing. So yeah. So yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm east facing.
Yeah. So you just get like a little bit of morning sun. It's not like getting baked in the evening or something like that. So.
No, yeah. It definitely depends on the direction of your house. But so far, the quality of the Visual Comfort interior light, the Morris pendant, has been amazing. And I actually really loved it. I knew that because I had an eave, so that meant the shape of my covered porch was a triangle, that I had to do something that was either round, something that would look good inside of a pitch, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that Morris pendant is this, you know, octagonal shaped thing, which looks really good inside of a triangle, which is why I really liked the play on that sort of octagonal polyhedron shape sitting up in there. And I still would choose it today. I really love it. I say go for it, Aubrey. Get crazy.
Cheers. Roll
Yeah.
the dice.
Yes.
I like it.
The next question is from Carly Mutin. Hopefully I pronounced that right. She asks, what advice do you have for designers like myself who did not find their passion for interiors until after college? I have a husband, daughter, and a full-time job as a kitchen and bathroom designer, so traditional schooling feels basically impossible. Jess, I know you studied graphic design, so did I. What avenues did you take to learn the ins and outs of interior design, especially the technical skills? I have a good grasp on design as a whole, but I feel like I am just skimming the surface.
That's a really good question. I think, Carly, you have a really good understanding of design and how design works. Obviously, if you're designing kitchens and baths, those are the most technical spaces. So I think you have a lot of what you need to know. And a lot of it we know is just doing your 10,000 hours until you become an expert. Yeah. But I would say if I were you, I would couple myself with somebody that's extraordinary at what they do, because high tide raises all boats. And Carly, you might be the piece that isn't the technical piece. That's me, but maybe you're the taste level piece, or maybe you're the common sense piece. There's so much room within a firm where you can have your junior designers or designers being the technicians, and then you could be up above them, you know, helping them make the visual decisions for taste level and look and layout, and just really inform your taste. I studied all of the great books that I could get my hands on, still do, just continue to collect libraries. I'm studying beautiful images all the time and brands and going to market and just really informing, my taste, what's available in the market. I feel like our resources are hugely important to being a great designer, is like, who's the best paper hanger? Who's the best drapery workshop? What are the best draperies? What's my favorite pleat of drape on projects? Or, just really informing yourself and your resources on what's available and how to get it, being resourceful and like sticking to it. I feel like one of the things that designers don't always do is finish their work, is what Sue and I keep finding, is that people always say to us, oh yeah, I tried working with a designer once, but she just never finished. So becoming a finisher, I think, is really important, and doing it so well that you want to photograph that work and celebrate it and get it published. And just seeing things through all the way to the end of the row will already make you 90% better than everybody else in your field. Yep. That's probably dramatic, but I really do feel like it's just like having the stick-to-itiveness to grind it out. You're going to have hard conversations with clients, and staying in it no matter how hard it gets. There's so much room, even if you aren't a technician, that there's still a ton of room in design. Yeah. I don't know. What else would you add?
No, I was just saying, surround yourself with like brilliant people and be curious.
Yes.
I think like ask a lot of questions again, if you have a draftsman, make sure that you guys they're getting what you're putting down. Yep. And make sure that your client knows that you have their best, that you're their representative for all these other people that are also putting this project together. Mm-hmm. Just like figure out your assets, like if you're good at this one thing, be awesome at that and keep getting better at that. And then just kind of like get all the other tools in your tool belt ready to go and go to town. Yeah. Yeah. And just always be curious. I love what you said about being a finisher, because again, there will be hard conversations, but at the end of the day, when the client has a beautiful home that is finished, that is styled, that feels like them, they can't look back at it and say like, this wasn't a great experience. Yeah.
Or want to refer you.
It would have been way worse if the designer bounced at the hard knock, and then and then you're back at square one. But if you can finish it, photograph it, and then have it, to stare at when times get hard again. Yeah. Don't you think, like, when I 100%. Look back at work, I'm just like, okay, that was hard, but like, we got it. Yeah. We nailed it. So yeah.
Really good. And I would say today, Suzanne, you probably don't use AutoCAD, but the designers that you're working with on our teams, they're the ones in AutoCAD, and you're more vision for the project, and you're sketching, and they need to see what your vision is so then they can go in and technically create it. But I think somebody has to have a vision of it before you get started working in CAD. Otherwise, you're just going to be doing a lot of CAD work without knowing where you're going. So, and
then redoing that CAD work probably.
Yeah. And nobody's going to appreciate that, right? Especially the clients paying for those hours. So, Carly, I'd say, back to what Sue said, figure out what piece that you're great at and become extraordinary at it. And whatever you do, finish. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Next.
The next question is asked by Kara Burling. She says, my family recently relocated from Cincinnati, Ohio to Nashville, Tennessee. We absolutely love Nashville, but house hunting. Yeah, I know, right? But house hunting was basically me mourning the loss of our 1895 Victorian we sold back in Cincinnati. Nashville just does not have the same historic architecture that Cincinnati does. After looking at over 30 homes in the Nashville area, we landed on a 1994 large home with an outdoor porch.
Pool. I bet it's pool.
Pool, yeah. While we are thrilled with the space and storage of this home, it is lacking in charm. My question to you is, how do I D90s our Nashville home, great term by the way, without taking away its positives? I need help leaning in, so to say this 90s aesthetic. Thanks.
Great question. I wish I could see the home.
I know. I'm like, that'd be easier to answer this.
But I think you can definitely, my analogy is always this, because I grew up with 6 kids in my family. And so my mom would get a loaf of French bread, cut it in half, make one huge sandwich, and then cut that thing into pieces and give it all to us.
It's economical.
Yes. And then we would all get our sandwich, and then we would open it up and we would pick off all the things that we didn't like. For me, it was pickles. And so to you, Kara, I want to say we can pick the pickles off, this 90s aesthetic, and we can make it your own. Yeah. And I think for you, I would really study homes that have similarities to yours. And I'm trying to remember, I graduated high school in 93. So this house is like, I'm a freshman in college, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember what were the houses like back in the 90s. I'm picturing like pink brick coins on the edges of homes, maybe arch doorways, which arch doorways are a thing again.
Yeah. But even
Maybe
then, it's probably not a true arch. It's probably just like a broken arch that's straight.
Yeah,
Like
that's
a-
true.
Yeah.
But I think there's things that are happening right now that could be celebrated in the home, and it's really easy to pull off bad trim, right? And do
Lighting fixtures, plumbing
Let's say I
fixtures.
bet
Yes,
the lighting is
the
probably
cosmetics.
shiny.
Yeah,
You know, take that off,
totally.
probably
Brassy.
plated.
Yep.
Mhm.
You could figure out like what if you wanted to take down walls. In my mind, the 90s might have still been broken up walls. I don't know if you want a grander floor plan. You could look at that, but just cosmetically, there's so much you can do without
Yeah.
even messing with the architecture of the home and just picking off the pickles and, know that you might want to get new cabinetry. Cabinets did not go to the ceiling back then. They just kind of hung like an eyebrow
Hello.
Mhm.
around the room, and backsplashes were tiled with big grout joints, I feel like.
Yes.
You might have linoleum counters. So I feel like people didn't do slabs back then.
No.
There wasn't even granite as
Mm-mm.
much. So
No.
And
you're
probably
just-
like medium oak, like
yeah,
orangey
Probably,
medium oak
yeah.
was a thing. So
think it was called
refinishing
oak
that.
plus.
honey
Honey
oak.
oak. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Appliances were probably, I don't even know if they were stainless steel. They might have
They
still
might
been a
have done
color.
white.
White,
bet
you're
they're
right.
white appliances.
Yes, and
I'm
there's
just thinking of my
probably
childhood.
I know.
a microwave above your stove.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many things you can do with
I
that,
know,
right?
I'm so excited for you.
New cabinetry,
Yeah.
take it to the ceiling. You're going to do a range hood this time. You're going to get new appliances. You're pulling off all your base in case you're getting rid of that carpet.
Yep.
You might be getting rid of those wood floors, or maybe you're just
You're putting
taking
in
the
new
oak
wood
floors
floors.
and staining them super dark or medium dark. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously easy to go darker.
You
than
could
it is lighter.
retexture the walls. You might have a real serious wall texture situation going
Like an
on.
orange peel situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like big time orange peel.
Mhm.
Probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
borderline popcorn.
You might have a bathroom that's been
It's rough.
sponge painted with like mint green and peach. I don't
Lucky.
know. So yeah,
Lucky.
people were crafty in the
Yeah,
they really
90s.
were.
Yeah, they took things into their own hands, and they usually had a
You're just
sponge
like,
in one
I'm
hand.
gonna paper this. I could be a paper hanger and I'm gonna sponge
Absolutely.
paint this.
Oh, you betcha. The
Yeah.
draperies were.
I bet there's some borders.
The
in your
draperies
house.
I was just gonna
were
say
as
that.
big as
For
the
sure.
hair. The
For
bishop
sure.
sleeves and the swags. Get rid of all of
Empire.
those.
Yep.
Just pull all the pickles off, and then
Yeah.
you can just clear your head, and then you can start to really
I know,
dream.
I was about to say, I'm like, my house isn't from the 90s, but like once I painted and I took all the pickles off, redid all my flooring,
Mm-hmm.
and like you guys, we painted our subfloor, like just
Mm.
like get everything out of the way
Yeah.
and just try and like realize what the space could be.
Mm-hmm.
It was very clearing. for
Yeah.
me because it was terrible before. So there was a lot of pickles. There was onions, there was anchovies, like there was all sorts of
Mm.
mess in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, but there's
How
a
many
lot that you can-
dumpsters did you fill up?
Oh gosh, I can't even tell you. I don't know.
They
So
just
many.
came and you just
Yep,
filled them.
just filled them and filled them
Yeah.
and filled them. Yeah. The first
Yeah.
thing I like walked in there and I tore down all the window treatments. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's windows.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carpet and paint.
Carpet and paint.
Those two things,
It's
man.
huge.
That's you're halfway to a brand new house.
It
at
is.
that
And,
point.
and like if you have great art, throw that up on your wall and pray that you have some good rugs that kind of like cover
That'll,
up from your
that'll
floor.
start to feel more like you already.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can take it in phases like Sue. You can do the emergency remodel where you just whatever needs your attention is what you're going to tackle next.
Yep.
Or you can go after whatever is like maybe you're a cook and you're like, I got to get this kitchen right before I can think straight.
Yeah.
And once we're eating well and living well, I can start to branch out from the nucleus of the home. You can figure out how you want to tackle it. But it sounds like just
What's the most offensive?
reducing.
Take that off
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
and then go from there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What about the exterior? Like, let's say the pink brick. Got the 90s
Oh,
big
if it is
brick.
pink
You know what's
brick.
funny? I find that in some remodels that don't have these incredible budgets, sometimes just don't get to the exterior. House of Kennedy never touched her exterior. You haven't touched your exterior. Yeah, like I feel like the exterior sometimes, depending on the neighborhood you live in and
Yeah.
what's important to you,
Yeah.
the exterior might not be addressed for a minute, right? Maybe the
Mhm.
landscaping is like trying to get things up to snuff and get trees growing and that sort of thing. You've been working on landscaping. You've been in
Yeah.
for
3.
years and now landscaping's starting to come online for
Yeah.
you. But the
Yeah.
first thing, putting your oxygen mask on was like, I've got to minimize
Yeah.
what the last decorator did and I've got to start to fill myself in here so I can get my art on my walls, right?
Yep.
For you, you painted everything steam.
From
And
Benjamin
then-
Moore.
Yeah.
And then
including the subfloors.
Yep,
You painted steam.
Yep, we got new carpet in all the bedrooms
Mm-hmm.
and just new railings, like anything that was unsafe. You're 1990s, so you're probably not unsafe. Like there were some unsafe things. So
Yeah.
They were
address
cowboys.
those. They were cowboys, like for
Mhm.
real.
But
Horse
Sue,
breeders.
Sue has babies though, so safe
Yeah.
is a different thing.
Yeah,
For babies,
exactly.
right? Because they might put something in their mouth or something
Yeah.
where maybe maybe your teenager isn't gonna put your thing in your mouth. But I agree,
No.
safety is important.
Yeah, and then just like lighting. I think like the lighting, like the pieces that I have even just like taken down,
Mhm.
and like until you can afford to get the light, leave the exposed bulb. It's better than the bad light they had on.
Mm.
That's what I will say.
Yeah.
And then like as I replace the lighting, it's starting to feel more and more like me.
Mhm.
So.
I'll say too, I feel like you tackled the bedrooms in a really big way.
Yeah.
You gave the kids each a real identity. You went all in. You went a full color. Like you went all in design on the kids' room, where I feel like a lot of times people do the kids' rooms last.
Probably.
Yeah, and I feel like
Yeah.
that was part of your first initiative.
I was nesting too because I was pregnant with my second, and like I'm
Mhm.
like I gotta make a nursery if we're gonna like do this, and so we did it.
Yeah.
And then like, but I'm glad I did.
Mhm.
You know, it's never.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then the bedrooms are done. We neutralized all the public spaces, and we just threw our stuff in there and just tackled a little bit at a time.
Yeah, that's great.
But the bathrooms are probably offensive in your 1990s. So like whether you do them all at one fell swoop, if you have a tile person in there, you have plumbing in there, and you do them all at the same time, make them yours. Or if you're emergency remodel, just do it one at a time, and that'll even still you'll be in creation. You'll be making it better every day, which I think is really powerful, and I think it's good for the soul.
Yeah.
Also, have something to work on.
You'll learn a lot from the first one. So when you go to do it a second time, you're going to do it better.
Totally.
You know?
You're going to know what's important to you. Like, for instance, if you don't entertain a lot and, people aren't coming over and you're not so concerned about your living room or those front-facing rooms, maybe you're like, I just want to make my own situation better so that I can feel good about it. And you're going to tackle your primary suite and you're going to get your closet the way you like it in your bedroom and whatnot. You get to decide what order that you do it in based on what is going to feel most important to your core being. And so, get to that. A lot of people put the money in their main living spaces, and then they eventually, will get to those private spaces that people won't see. But I say do it in whatever order. Suze was pregnant. She had to make a nursery. You wanted Nolan to feel at home in his new house. You really went big on making these kids' rooms just absolutely adorable and tell their story. And it's so cute.
And you bought great furniture.
Yes. I'm like, if you have good furniture, it can like forgive a lot of sins on the walls and like on the bones. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yep. Have good pieces that feel like you.
That's good.
Okay.
Good luck, Kara.
Yes.
The
Okay.
next question, they didn't leave a name, so it's anonymous.
Okay.
But they ask, I would love to hear either an episode or a small portion of the episode dedicated to front porch styling through the seasons. I'm a young first-time homeowner and located in Utah, so I have all 4 seasons. I love the idea of getting spring blossoms, bright summer flowers, and mums for fall, but how do you do that? Do you just fork out a ton of money each year to replace the plants in pots every few months? Use faux plants in pots? Do you leave any outdoor furniture out on your porch in the winter? I feel like I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to plant care and front porch decorating, and would appreciate all the advice. Thank you.
Great question.
That is a great question.
We do have 4 dominant seasons. I have the same planters on my porch, and I had an expert from Northland Design come, and we did my porch pots together this year.
Porch pot planting.
Yeah, and we started. They always say after Mother's Day, you're safe to do flowers because we shouldn't have another freeze. So that's like in May. So we went to the nursery. He helped me select the plants that were going to survive for where I live for the season, but also the elevation. Me being in east elevation, what would work great for that? How much sun are they getting? Is it full sun? So kind of understanding that, and you go through with a card, and you just kind of design like what's going to look good together. And I asked him how long is this going to last? Because I was just like you, where I was thinking, do I need to do this springish coming into summer? Am I going to have to do something for hot summer, bright summer flowers? And he said, no, these are going to last until frost, until it freezes. So really, I'm still watering these every day.
What did you get? Do you remember?
I don't know the names of the things, but they're doing so great.
Take my plants
We
out to your house.
did we did like junipers that were kind of in a topiary shape. One's just a big ball, the other one's a cone.
Yeah.
And then the other one's just kind of a cool looking Kelly Wursler shrub. And they're just like in beautiful kind of white pots or terracotta pots, big pots. I think scale is really important. When I go up to people's porches and everything's small, there's this planter that I want to just, I hate it so much. it's a cylinder and it sits up on stilts on these chopstick looking, and it's so nervous looking. I'm like, the wind's gonna blow it over. Everything's gonna crash and die. Like, why do people buy this pot? Also, it's too small. I'm like, it should be an indoor thing.
It's like 8 inches around.
Yeah, 8 inches around is not okay unless it's in a cluster with things that are like 18 inches. And so go big, and then you could get a year-round shrub. Forever I had something called a yew that was in the 2 big ones, and the yew looks great year-round. And we could do new underplantings if you wanted to, or you could put moss. And that was me. I'm like, I don't want a ton of flowery nonsense. I just want a couple strong statement things that are going to look good year round that's evergreen. So that's what my big ones are. My little ones that we did this year with Brock, we did do an assortment of flowers of things that I liked. But it wasn't flowery. Everything is just like big leaves, and it just continues to like spill over and get bigger. And it's just textures. So I don't have to worry about flowers dying, because I wanted pretty low maintenance. All I have to do is just remember to water it, and it just gets bigger and bigger. So I would say get yourself a shrub that looks good year round. And you're going to just back off on the watering, of course, and just go bigger than you think for those pots. Yeah. You can do the mums. They are going to die. I mean, I'm in east-facing elevation, and it just gets hot, and then they get crispy, and I don't know. It's cute. I would say don't do it too early. Do it closer to when, like, the trick-or-treaters are coming. You're going to have tons of company on your porch, and you want to get credit for it then. Go get your mums, like, a week before that or something. That's one thought on that. I don't know. Do you have any advice, you guys?
I was going to say the planters, I think. And once you buy good planters, you will fork out some money at the beginning. Yeah. But even like watch after season. You know, like, I don't know when that, I'm trying to think of like when in Utah they would like an after season sale or something like at Sun River Gardens. Like we have like all these great nurseries. We have Sun River, we have Highland. There's so many great nurseries in Utah, and I've gotten all my big pots from those places historically. And so, but I always like when I'm in there, I always see like big planters and things like in the one corner that are for sale. So I think you can find stuff on a good deal, but like go to a place that's like reputable that has large scale. And then again, you're just like replanting, you know, a couple times a year. Yeah. Yeah. What do you do at Christmas?
Well, you know, Brock came because we were opening our store in like October, November, and he was like, nothing's going to work. Let's just do these topiaries. He's like, you can put pansies underneath, and then they're just going to freeze in place. So we did like pansies. Yeah. So I don't know. I think just having it, you know, be moss. But if you have an evergreen tree in there, it's just, or like a yew, a shrub that's green, it's going to look good. Yeah. I mean, people have come in before to do the store, and they have to just bring in a lot of stuff like turkey feathers and all, you know, it's kind of this cornucopia of decor underneath. So I don't know. I don't have great advice on what to do there, but I think again, if you're just putting in a couple large evergreen type shrub things, it's going to look really beautiful. And then your wreath can do some of the work of the decor for you. As far as outdoor furniture, she talked about that on the porch. I have a covered porch, and I have a little love seat out there with a little outdoor table and that sort of thing. I leave that on my front porch because it's covered. My back porch my back deck is not covered, and we bring that in and into the garage, the cushions. We might just bring the cushions in and leave the frame out for winter. But yeah, as much as you can bring those things in for winter, if it's not covered, it's going to last years longer. We do have really harsh winters, and springs are really wet, and conditions are pretty crazy, and you can ruin, I've heard of full resorts that have purchased, residential outdoor furniture and they have to replace it the next year. So it's so expensive.
Times in Utah.
Outdoor furniture is as much money as indoor furniture, and so you really
sometimes more usually.
So if you do have like an unfinished basement, you could bring it down to, or a garage bay that you could put it in, or even just line the back of your garage and there's still room for your cars. You're just going to want to do that to protect. I
was going to say too, like for your fall, you're going to be bringing pumpkins in addition to your mums. There's like other things that can like fill the voids. So fall, you're going to have pumpkins. And even like we don't have like, we have that porch area,
Mhm.
but we usually get the cedar garlands from Costco and we drape like the opening. So even though there's not,
Cute.
you know, and that's something that can like be in the cold, like
Mhm.
during the Christmas season, that's really happy.
So
and then
cute.
around your lights, you put little wreaths. So there's other things aside from like planters that are just going to die in the winter
Yeah.
that you're going to put up.
Take
that'll,
those
like,
little
take-
planters and put them in the garage and put pumpkins in their place.
Yeah.
Keep the evergreen ones and then layer in the pumpkins or the holiday. Play up, you know, the other things,
Exactly.
the railings that you have, the front door.
Mhm.
You can put ornaments or white lights on your green things, your green
which is really
evergreens.
charming.
Yeah,
Makes it add a
totally.
sparkle.
But it doesn't have to be the same formula for every
No.
holiday. It's not pots and you're putting something in the pots every time. Yeah.
Nope. Yep.
Great.
Oh,
Hope
that's,
that
like, getting
answers
me
that.
getting me into the season.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one's our last one, and it's from Rachel C.
Mm-hmm.
She asks, we are moving and slowly renovating a 1970s home, and I'm stuck on the formal living room.
Mhm.
It's a skinny rectangle with doorways on every wall and a fireplace in one corner. We want to use the fireplace often. Should the furniture and rug run parallel to the fireplace or the walls? If parallel to the fireplace, what do you think the awkward corner of the rug sticking out? Love everything you do, and your opinion would mean the world to me.
Aw.
Rachel C. I have some words because I'm in the 1970s, so I like understand some of like the little complexities. Really cool that you have like doors and windows like on all your walls except for this corner
Kind of,
fireplace.
that reminds me of you.
I feel
You don't really have just like
no.
a lot of just walls. You have openings.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have like more openings and everything, but like I would still keep things on the rectangle only because like my sister had a corner fireplace
Yeah.
and we like went the rounds trying to figure out what is the best way to rectify the sin in the corner. You know, I'm like, do we tear it out? Like, what do we do? Where do we put the TV? How do we arrange the furniture? And it wasn't until like we redid the fireplace, made a beautiful like cast mantle on this corner just to like make it feel celebrated. For a while, Rachel, I completely abandoned it, and I was just like, let's just like not look at it, pretend it's not there. Let's like
Create a
point the
create a
eyes
diversion.
everywhere. Create a diversion. So, I guess like where your corner fireplace, if you have a great view one way or the other, that's where I would orient my furniture towards that, and then do something beautiful on the mantle. But it doesn't have to be the thing that you're looking towards in the corner. But I think I would still square it off in a rectangle room, because then you're going to add non-directional items. You're going to have a big round table, you know, on the sides of your sofa, and you're going to do other things to soften this really angular space with some rounds in there. And like the fireplace is going to be doing something beautiful over there. If it's like an ugly fireplace, do something beautiful on top, get sconces, do something.
Don't put a
you
TV
can-
above it.
Do not put a TV above it, because then that'll force your eye to look at that corner fireplace every time.
Mm-hmm.
But put like, we did a round mirror over my sister's, and then I just put a console that was to the left of the corner fireplace, and we just had the TV sitting on its stand floating in front of the window with draperies.
It was that great global view.
Yes. And it was beautiful.
Yeah, so
and it just kind of like the fireplace was there, but it wasn't taking up all my headspace.
Yeah.
And the TV was there, but it wasn't also taking up my headspace because you had the windows behind it with draperies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I would do. Hopefully that was like visually verbalized enough.
Would you ever consider like
Yeah.
using that, like if this is the rectangle,
Mm-hmm.
this, let's say the corner fireplace is in this corner, it's like, let's, you know, sofa and, you know, cocktail table and all that, TV this way, and then just treat that little space as its own little like
Like a little Beauty and the Beast.
yeah, like
love moment.
Pair of
right there.
chairs.
yeah, pair of chairs.
Depending on the size of the room.
Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
you had like a sofa table or something that you can like really like designate, this is our sofa viewing area, and it's like not part of the fireplace moment
Mhm.
at all. If it's that long, then yeah, you could break it up. So it just kind of depends on like how much space do you have. Like you could make a little seating area just by the corner
It's
fireplace.
like a grouping and a half.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be sweet, but yeah, I don't know the room,
Cool.
but
Totally.
yeah,
Hope that helps,
I'm
Rachel.
excited.
I'm excited for you too.
I know there's something really groovy about the
I-
70s. I'm like
yeah.
into it.
And you guys have all heard me say this a million times before, but I have a friend that was trained, he's an architect that's classically trained in England, and he said they do everything they can in classical architecture to avoid irregular things like the corner fireplace. There's something about, I don't know if it was the 80s or the 90s, but they started throwing everything on angles, and you'd come into kitchens and the kitchen island would be on a diagonal, and they started throwing all these weird angles in, and it's really offsetting to our personal coming into a space and trying to get our bearings when things are running off on diagonal. So he said they would hide irregular architecture within closets or anything else. So when people throw these 45-degree angles into a room, it's not something classical, and we never want to draw attention to them because it's never going to feel balanced or square in our minds, our human bodies, our wayfinding coming into the room. So if any of you have irregular architecture in your home, I would say draw the eye away from it. Don't celebrate it. Keep things on the square and arrange your room that way. And I think it's going to feel more grounded, and it's going to be, I just think, a more beautiful space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we are in a time where we do have a lot of these curves happening.
Yes.
In furniture, where like even though your rug has, straight angles and stuff, adding some of those curves to some of these like angles that are like off-putting, I think it's a huge bonus for you right now. And I think like the eye likes that too.
Yeah.
Like it's not a weird angle at a sharp edge. It is a curve that's kind of softening the weird edges that you inherited. So
yeah, that's a really great point. You can do that with furniture.
Yeah.
To kind of not ignore it completely, but take it and curve it.
But even like the round mirror above that corner fireplace, like helped a ton.
Softened it, yeah.
Helped a ton. So yeah.
Great advice. Good. Well, you guys, I hope this has been helpful. Feel free to send more questions to Dear Alice at alicelanehome.com. And we would love to be able to help you guys out. Pro tip, I just want to say, if any of you guys are listening up in Canada, we now have shipping to Canada. It's brand new. We're really excited about it. So we can get you your Alice Lane up there. So make sure and check out the website.
Should go on tour up there. That would be really fun.
Our neighbors to the north.
Right? Yes.
To the north.
Definitely. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.